It's time for Recipe of the Day. The other day I was telling you about those air fryer stuffed peppers, and at the end I said that there is a ground beef and rice skillet on my site, Cook the Story, that has all the flavors of like classic stuffed peppers. And that made me realize that while I have told you about that recipe before, I'll link to it in the show notes anyhow, but I have told you about that one. I have not told you about the Mexican or Tex-Mex version of that beef and rice skillet that I've done. So that is what's on the menu today. This is all just cooked in one skillet: the beef, some veggies, the rice, some salsa, some broth so that the rice cooks, some beans, and then it's chopped with cheese. And then you can add other toppings because, you know, anything that has a Tex-Mex or Mexican profile can always use some chopped avocado, diced tomatoes, black olives, green onions, any of that on top as well. Cilantro I love, crumbled queso fresco, you know what I'm talking about. So as with all of the skillet recipes that I talk about generally, this is everything done in one skillet, and it's great when you've had like a crazy day and you don't want to have to monitor a few different things to get dinner together. You just want it all in one place. You stand and stir and don't have to really move around much. So if you're having that kind of day, this is going to be great. What you're going to do is get out a large skillet, ideally one that has a good lid for it. That's going to be best. And you're going to add a tablespoon of olive oil and put it over medium heat, and then go in with a pound of ground beef. You can of course use ground turkey or ground chicken instead. I would avoid ground turkey breast or ground chicken breast just because they can be a little bit drier. But if you had ground pork, you could do half ground pork with the beef or with the turkey. You could do some like Mexican crumbled chorizo. That would be great as well. But you need a pound, and then that is going in there. I like to add the beef and then kind of spread it out and press it down with my spatula into an even layer. Leave it untouched for a good 3 or 4 minutes until it starts to brown underneath, and then add 2 bell peppers, any color that you've cored and chopped, or you can leave them in strips. It gives it kind of that like fajita veggie feel, you know what I mean? And then also 1 medium onion that you can chop, or similarly do it in strips for that fajita veggie feel, and sprinkle in a teaspoon of salt. And then you can start flipping and stirring the ground beef with those veggies on top of it. It's going to get mixed up and it's going to break up the meat a little bit. You're going to continue to cook and stir that occasionally until the meat is cooked through and the vegetables are tender crisp. It's like 5 to 6 minutes. Then you're stirring in 2 cups of salsa. The salsa is the main seasoning for this dish, and it's where the main like Tex-Mex Mexican feel is coming from, is from that salsa. Choose one that you like the flavor of. You're also adding 1.5 cups of beef broth or chicken broth or vegetable broth or water, and a 15-ounce can of black beans or pinto beans drained, and also 1 cup of long grain white rice. You can use other kinds of rice. Jasmine and basmati would both work here. I would avoid an arborio or something that's more like a risotto rice. It's going to be too like stodgy and creamy. I would also avoid a brown rice or like wild rice. It's just going to need longer to cook and possibly more liquid. You could probably do it. You would just need to figure it out, and that is not done in this recipe. So I would just go with straight up plain old long grain white rice. It's uncooked, 1 cup of it. You're adding that in there as well, and give it a stir, and then bring it to a boil over high heat. Then reduce it down to a simmer. Put that lid on and leave it to cook undisturbed for about 20 minutes, and then you can have a look and see if the rice is tender. It should be. It might need a few more minutes, depending on, sometimes like if a lid isn't tight fitting enough, more liquid can evaporate in the cooking and then it wouldn't be done, and then you'd probably want to add in a little boiling water just to let that rice finish cooking. So just know that that might happen. You might even want to turn your kettle on maybe 15 minutes into this in case you end up needing it. So it's usually 20 to 25 minutes that it's done. Then take it off the heat, sprinkle on a cup of shredded cheese. You can do the sort of Mexican mixed cheese, or I often have just shredded cheddar on hand. I know some people don't think that goes with Mexican flavors. For some reason it does for me, but I think I grew up with my mom putting that in tacos when we had taco night. So that's probably why. Monterey Jack, cheddar jack, anything like that's going to work. About a cup, put that on there, put the lid back on. Now we're off the heat at this point, but the heat from the stuff in the skillet and from having the lid on is going to melt that cheese in about 2 minutes, and then you dig in and serve. You've got protein, you've got some nice rice in there, a little bit of veggies going on. perfect dinner. You were able to stand in one place for most of it. I love it. I will put the link to this recipe in the show notes for this podcast episode, or you can head to cookthestory.com/ROTD and get it there, or find it in our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/recipeotd. And hey, just a quick note. I'm on a recording hiatus right now, so for the next little while, I'm replaying episodes from the archives, including this one. If you heard me mention a holiday, a season, or something going on in my life that seemed a bit off, that's why. Thanks so much for listening, and I hope you're enjoying these older episodes. I am Christine Pittman from cookthestory.com, thecookful.com, cookfor2.us, and from this podcast, Recipe of the Day. I hope you have a great day. Let's get cooking.